Welcome to another Bandology interview. Bandology is a Canadian nonprofit dedicated to more music for more kids via education, collaboration, and community. Hi everyone, my name is Naoko and I'm the Music and Performance Coordinator at Bandology. Today for Bandology's interview series, I'm here with Shana and Bill Bates, co-owners of KAOS Music Studios. How are you doing today, Shana and Bill?
We're doing great.
Doing fine, thank you.
Great. So can you tell us a little bit about KAOS Music and what kind of programs the school has to offer?
So the school offers private lessons, music lessons that is, with piano, guitar, drums, ukulele, bass, violin, voice, woodwind, and some brass instruments, and then some theory as well. So almost every instrument in private lessons. And then we also offer a group guitar program for adults. It's a specific program for anyone 18 or older. And it's a program that we teach, but it was not our program. It's one that we share from a school in New York City called the New York City Guitar School. And it's a terrific course for adults who want to learn how to play guitar in a casual, fun, recreational way. So it's a very unintimidating course for adults in small groups up to 6. And then we also offer, new to the Oakville area, we've been doing this in Etobicoke for over a decade. It's a program called the Rock Band Experience. And this is a very fun, cool program for teens, so age 13 and over, and adults. And what we do in that program is we group people of similar age and similar playing ability and similar musical preference into small bands, 3 or 4 person bands. And we put a KAOS coach with them, so a professional, and they rehearse weekly, learning songs and learning how to learn songs. It's not really a learning how to play program, it's a learning how to play together program, like an ensemble program, but in the rock genre and in small bands. And then that all ends at the end of a session, 10 or 12 weeks, with a show where they perform a set in a bar on a stage with full lighting and full PA for friends and family. So that's a fun program that we offer as well. And up until the pandemic hit, we did offer the Yamaha Music Education Program, which was a program for kids under the age of from 4 to 6, basically. And that's a terrific program for early developmental type skills that Yamaha created and we offer. We're not going to do that this year because it just took such a hit, and it just got all messed up. So we're not offering that this year. We may get back to that at some point, but we've been offering that for years in the Oakville and also in our Etobicoke location.
That's really great that you guys offer such a diverse range of programs, and not only individual lessons, but also these opportunities to practice as an ensemble. Like, that's not something that you find in every music school. So that's really, really amazing that you guys offer that.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit about your backgrounds and experience in music?
Go ahead.
I played trombone through my high school years, and then I went to Western for the music education program there to become a teacher, and then got sidetracked and ended up running a recording studio with my partner back then. So we had a recording studio for about 7 years, and it's still running, but I'm no longer involved. And then I went on to do some theater work and stage managing and some sound teching for small theaters. And then met Bill, and then got to get involved on a very small scale with KAOS. So, and we're raising the kids to be musical as well. So there's still a lot of music in our lives. We're still making music together, and I'm hoping to join a band again now that I have a bit more time for me. I'd like to start playing trombone.
Yeah, I don't have as great a music history. I do have music in my background. My father was a saxophonist back in his earlier years, and so I learned from him initially, and then I took up drums and studied that privately throughout my school years. I did not go to school for music. I went to school for computer science and decided I didn't like that as an option pretty quickly after I started it. So I stopped and took a job in a music store and learned the retail portion of the business. And in that store, they did some teaching as well. And when I broke out of that to open my own store, we incorporated the music lessons from the very beginning. We knew that we wanted to have a store and a school as the combination business, not just one or the other. And we've run that. It's still running to this day. It's 32 years old, that business. We started that in 1989. I'm old. And then about 8 years ago, when we moved to Oakville, we decided to open an additional location, which we did a year or so after that. So that's been running for about 8 years. And in there, we also opened a second Oakville location, which is running up in the north part of Oakville, although I think we're going to shut that one down to concentrate solely on the south location. And we're going to just cap it at those two. It's a lot of time and energy to run 3 businesses. So we're going to shut that one down. Our lease is finished, and we figured after the pandemic, this was a good time to shut it, as opposed to try to rebuild it, because it really slowed down more so in the north than it did in the south in Oakville. An interesting phenomenon, but this just seemed like the right time to either really dig in and try to rebuild that location, or just say thanks for everything and shut it down. So that's what we're doing.
Oh, and I also have to say, in case my parents watch this, I started piano lessons when I was 4 or when I was 6, and I took piano lessons. Thanks for the piano lessons, Mom and Dad. So there you go. In case they're watching.
They might.
Yeah. Well, that's so interesting that you guys have such a diverse background in music. So what inspired the start of your music school?
Well, I mean, the school that we're talking about here is the Oakville one. So it was kind of inspired by the existing school in Etobicoke. But if the inspiration back like 30 plus years ago, it really was, if you were going to run a music store, you're going to try to sell musical instruments, it was really incumbent on you to also teach people how to play those instruments. It didn't seem to make sense you would sell them keyboards and guitars and digital pianos and then say, good luck, go somewhere else to learn how to play them. And 32 years ago, you're way too young to imagine this, but 32 years ago, there was only one way to learn a musical instrument, and that was in a one-on-one lesson with somebody, and that was the way you learned. Now today, there are lots of other options to pick up and learn an instrument. Learning in a private lesson is still one of them, thankfully, but there are many other options and opportunities for people. But so that was the thinking back then, that it was really, if you wanted to be successful selling instruments, you needed to teach people how to play them.
Wow, so that's really great. You guys are the one-stop shop for music, so that's really great. So can you tell us a little bit about how your school has developed over the years, maybe, into the really amazing school that it is now?
Sure. I mean, back way back, we had 2 lesson rooms with curtains as doors. It was so basic, but it's funny, that those years ago, that's all you needed. You just needed a place to sit down with your teacher and learn. And really, the teaching, although really the change in teaching is probably mostly technologically based. There's tools that we have today that we didn't back then, that we use, and that's great, and the teachers use. But really, the craft is still the same as it was, those 100 years ago. Never mind 30. So it's taught kind of the same way, but we developed it little by little, really. When you have a small school and you're teaching, it would be the same as if you opened up a small private studio in your home and you started with 3 or 4 students, which is what we did. Essentially, we opened our door and offered lessons, and we started with half a dozen students. If you do a good job, they tell their friends, and it really is a word of mouth business, and it builds that way. I mean, you can advertise, and these days there's so much advertising going on, but in the end, it really is
If you do a good job, people will
It
keep
really
coming.
just builds organically, and it's not a get rich quick business, that's for sure. It takes time to develop, but that it does. And if you do it well, it's kind of like a good investment. It's like compound interest. Every year you get more and more students, and then it grows. And we went from just a few students when we started to hundreds and hundreds in that Etobicoke location. And it just grew. It really got big. We turned into a fairly big school, and then it kind of capped at about the year 2000, kind of when the internet really took off, and it started to decline after that because people had different options, and that's okay. I mean, at first we were like we hated the internet at first because but we realized it was a good thing that was happening. It was bringing more people to music, and it wasn't great for our business per se, but it did help. It was growing music, and it
made it more accessible.
That was like, yeah, people. That was a better, the greater good, which was okay. And then when we opened our Oakville studios, we opened them with a more modest goal. We didn't want to grow it into, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of students. We wanted a few hundred students maybe. And we were able to build that relatively quickly in a year or two, just again, by some initial advertising and then, excuse me, word of mouth after that. But that's really how you build it. And you add a teacher, and then you add a room, and then it's slow and laborious. But once a teacher gets a solid day of teaching going, they generally tend to keep that. And then you just build on it. And it's really,
and we've been lucky enough to have great staff.
Yeah.
And great teachers.
Definitely, that's a component of it.
Yeah.
That's really amazing to hear about all the cool developments of your music school. So, what are some of your favorite memories of KAOS Music over the years?
Well, I knew this question was coming, and my favorite memory by far is spending time with my father, who's deceased now, but he died a long time ago. But in the early days, he and I took a lot of pleasure just hanging out. Usually around the dinner time hour, he would come and spend time. He was very interested in the business, and it was really nice for us to spend time together. So that's a great memory. And that's not just one memory. That happened a lot, and that was some of the more enjoyable times socially at the business. I think some of my other nice memories are recitals. And it's funny because organizing a recital, if you ask a music store, any music school owner, what they hate doing the most, they'll say organizing recitals. It's very stressful, and it's not hard, but it is
a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, and there are a lot of like little chippy voices from people who want, special accommodations and things, and it's very stressful. But what funny and ironically, some of the best memories are the recitals themselves, because once you get in the hall and you basically, the lights go down and you start talking and people start playing, and there's like just so many amazing memories.
It's a nice energy when the energy of the kids ready to present their music to their families, and the families excited about seeing their loved one making music. It's a cool energy.
It's amazing. It's hard to, it's all, and funny, it surprises us every time.
Yeah.
A little less so, but every time, you finish the recital, you're like, wow, that was great. And all that stress of, people, with their requests and things and that just
away.
Yeah, just disappears. And then you love the recitals. And then at the end, you're like, those were great. I love the recital. And, but up until like 2 hours earlier, like, I hate the recital. So it's a funny, but there are some really nice memories when people are actually making music with, the instruments and the skills that you've helped bring to them. And, I don't feel like I'm the only person who sells instruments and I'm the only person who runs a music school, but it's a nice, it's a nice feeling when someone that you've done that for produces some music, and you can see the energy it brings them as well, which is really great as well.
And we have kids, right? And they've been, some of my favorite memories are taking my kids to their lessons. And ironically, they take their lessons in Etobicoke, but they're going to start taking lessons here in Oakville now. But us as parents, not only business owners, but our kids play in those recitals. So we get to feel the feelings as well as observe the feelings and the experiences of all of the community. It's cool. Though I think those are my favorite memories, are taking the kids to music lessons and walking in knowing, you know, seeing Bill's hard work kind of all around, and the kids are proud every time they're in the store or at a studio. There's a feeling of pride. I like seeing that look on their faces when like we're KAOS, like daddy's KAOS, like this is cool kind of. It's a nice, I like those those make me smile, those moments.
Yeah, me too. And there's one back, it's kind of a backtrack to one of the other questions, because you mentioned our kids took lessons in Etobicoke. We live in Oakville though. And the reason they did that is because they wanted to stay with the particular teacher who teaches in Etobicoke, and they just kind of
And we used to live there.
Yeah, we used to live there. So that's why the kids went there. But they stayed with that teacher until they basically have graduated from her now. And now they're on to a more advanced teacher. But it just goes to show you that music is a highly personal thing. And, you know, it's a relationship with a teacher can last, you know, in this case for 10 years.
Olivia's been taken for 12 years,
12
and Calvin
years.
for 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah. And we've been living here for 8. So we've been driving to Etobicoke for our music lessons when we have a school 1 minute from our home for 8 years.
Yeah. That's changing then. Maybe.
Yeah, thankfully.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the relationship between a music teacher and a music student is something that's really special. And also something else that's really special is that music is something that you guys share as a family. So that's really something amazing, I think.
You're lucky.
Definitely amazing for us and for anybody who does that. I mean, not everybody gets that, not everybody does that, but it's a thing for us, and it really is a good thing for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people are curious about what it's actually like to be owners of a music school. That's not something that is typical for a lot of people. So I was wondering, what does a typical day look like for you guys as co-owners of a music school?
Well, because the school doesn't really open until later in the day, earlier in the day, I spend time either at my store in Etobicoke or in my office here at home. There's lots of scheduling and emails and things like that go back and forth between student families. Sometimes there's some physical work at the studio, you know, whether it's cleaning or, you know, building or changing things around, but not a lot of that. It's mostly, you know, advertising, administrative type things on the computer. In an office somewhere, where for me it's here in my house. And then the teaching day, some days we are literally in the studio where we're sitting actually at the desk talking with people and doing the admin things. Other days we have, some part-time people doing that. We have a small staff of part-time people who come in after school hours and do that job for us. So some days we're there, some days we're not. If we're not there, when I say we, I mean me. If I'm not there, I'm either here working or I'm in my store in Etobicoke working, kind of bouncing back. But mostly I would be in the office these days. I mean, in the earlier days, I spent a lot more time literally in the studio doing, you know, all the admin jobs. I would do everything from there. These days, since I have the multiple places, I spend more time in my office, less time in the actual places. Shana spends time with now in the studio.
And Olivia has been desperate to work there, so she's done.
Excuse myself for a second.
You need a drink. Yeah, so I'm trying to take a couple more shifts here in Oakville, and Olivia has been wanting to work as well. So she's had to prove herself to Daddy that she's. But she worked last year. She worked at the end, well, when we were open. And so hopefully coming up, and Calvin's still a bit young, he's only 13, but he'll start probably spending a bit more time with me there, and then hopefully he'll get but we always want to keep a team. Like, we have such a great team of young people that work with us too, and so we don't want it to be completely family run, because then we miss out on opportunities to meet these awesome frontline people that we get to hire and work with. So yeah, so we try and keep a balance. And also we used to travel a lot in the winter time, and we'd be away for a month or two at a time, and that we can't really do that. We can't be the only people who work the front counter and be away. So it's we're lucky to have a team, definitely.
Yeah, that's really great. And actually, when you mentioned earlier that recitals are a really special moment for you guys as co-owners of a music studio, I'm sure that recitals are probably the thing that a lot of students and parents are looking forward to doing after COVID when we can all get together again.
Yes.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
They will be, I'm sure they will be popular.
Mm-hmm. So I was wondering, what are some of the maybe changes and things that you had to adapt to during COVID as a music school?
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Well, yeah, I mean, about half our student base just stopped taking lessons. They just decided they weren't interested in anything but an in-person lesson. So when we weren't able to provide an in-person lesson because of all the restrictions, people just stopped taking lessons, about half of them, which was really a big deal for us, naturally. The other half pivoted to Zoom, Skype, FaceTime type lessons that we were able to organize, and we ran those all year like a normal schedule. At one point we pivoted back to in studio, and then we pivoted back out of in studio. It was just a real yo-yo, crazy time with the COVID restrictions changing. So, but for the most part, we stayed just with video lessons, and we were able to do that. Our teachers were able to continue teaching.
The teachers were awesome.
Our teachers totally stepped up and were able to make the changes they needed to teach. I mean, on one hand, you're like, well, what's the big deal? You're teaching, just a video lesson instead of in person, but it's a different style of teaching, and it took a lot of getting used to. And I don't think I had any teachers who said, oh, I can't do that. They all said, sure, we'll do it. And they all figured it out, and they all, were able to deliver really good lessons. I mean, people were happy to stay on and do them. So that was great. And now it looks like we're pivoting back to in studio, but as a result of all that video lessons, we're going to continue to offer it as an option. And so that's a big change. We're going to be, which is a really good change for us, to be able to offer video lessons as well as in studio, because essentially that creates more capacity for us. So we're able to expand beyond our walls a little bit. We don't think that, we don't think that people we will see a 100% increase, but we do think we will see some increase. And so far we are seeing people signing up for September for video when they have the option to go back to in person. Mm-hmm. So it's that phenomenon is going to happen. We're just not sure what the ratio will be of video versus in person. So we have an idea of what we think it'll be, but we'll see.
We're just guessing.
Yeah, we are guessing, and we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, that's really great that both you and your faculty were able to make that change, and that it's really interesting to hear that some students are still electing to choose virtual lessons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were surprised. But
yeah, I mean, initially we would say we would have said no way. Everyone will go back to in-person lesson. But as it went, then we spoke to people and friends. We have lots of friends in the neighborhood who take lessons, and some of them would say, no, I think we'll stay with it if you offer it, because it's more convenient and it's easier, and our child is progressing just as well. I mean, our kids took video lessons all year, and they progressed well, like probably as well as, like debatably as well as they would have with in-person lessons. So, mm-hmm. I mean, they're a little different, and there are some limits to them, but I don't know that they're not, almost, if not as effective as an in-person lesson, just different.
And we were surprised because we've tried in the past to introduce an online component, and people weren't that interested when we tried before. So this kind of forced people to try, like they didn't have any option. It's either online or not. And so I think it forced people to give it a try. And some people, like you say, I like this, I like it even better. And some were like, that was good for the short term, I want my in-person lessons again. So, but it was kind of a forced trial for people who weren't necessarily open to it before in the past.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are learning a lot of different skills and a lot of different things about technology, hopefully, during COVID.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, as owners of a music school, I was wondering, why is music education important to you?
Oh, you know what? We were talking to our son, and he said he wanted to answer this one. So let me go get him.
Great.
Hello. This is Calvin.
Hi! I just asked your parents, why is music education important to you?
I think it's a really important skill to have, because now that I have that skill, I'm really happy that I was able to have. I feel like I'm better off having it than not, and I've heard some studies around that. It's good for your brain development too. So I think that's a huge part of it, and yeah, it's an amazing skill. It's great. I had more, but I forget it.
No, that was the gist of it.
Oh, that's what you
That's
said.
pretty
That's
much
what you
it.
said earlier. Yeah.
I think for us, we think we have felt, or I'll say I felt, but
Yeah.
I'm sure Shauna agrees, that the skill itself of being able to play an instrument is a childhood to adulthood skill. It's a lifelong skill, and it's one of those things that you can enjoy and do your entire life. It's not like some things that you learn when you're a kid and you only do when you're a kid, like some more contact sports and things like that. You're not going to play them when you're 60 years old, but music is one of those ones that endures all the way through all the stages of your life. And if you learn it early, it's easier. Like most things, it's easier to learn when you're younger, but not necessarily impossible to learn when you're older. So be offering it as a service. Again, I don't feel like we are the only people that are offering it, and thank God for us. It's not how I feel, but I feel that we're part of a group of people who offer it to our particular communities, and there's people like us all over the world who offer it to their communities. It's actually really fun and interesting to meet people in other parts of the world who are music school owners, and we've done that a few times. Where did we meet those guys? Like it was in the Virgin Islands.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, it was really
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
We happened upon on vacation a school in the Virgin Islands, up like way up in the mountains, in this like remote little town, and we met this woman who ran this music school, and she gave us a little tour. And it was a nice school. It was a nice small school, but they're very serious. And we looked at it like, you're on an island in the middle of the Caribbean. How many students could you have? But I think they had quite a few.
Yeah, they did.
And they ran like a full music school. So it was really interesting. It was funny because they were doing essentially the same thing that we do. And I meet lots of people at conventions that are music school owners. And we're all doing the exact same thing, just trying to bring music, the skills to play music to people who want to do it. And I think by doing it, you promote it. And by promoting it, you might bring some people to it.
And we believe in it. So like, it's obviously part of our lives. Something we believe is not just a business a way to make money. It's kind of, we believe it so much. We're kind of, it sounds cheesy. We're living it.
No,
too.
it's true. It's not, again, it's not a money-making business where we do make some money, but it is not a business that makes tons of money. So you do it because you think it's important, and you love it. So those are kind of, I think those are.
Yeah. And I also think we're homeschoolers as well. My daughter's going to an art school now, but from an education standpoint, what I love about learning an instrument or learning a skill in music is cool because like Calvin's been playing. When did you start? When you were 3?
Olivia says 4, but I don't believe that.
Okay, 3.5, 4. Music isn't one of those things where you can just, pick it up one day and then you're a piano player. It takes, Calvin's 13 now. It's taken him almost 10 years to get to the level that he's at where he feels confident and competent. And but our kids were militant with, they practice half an hour a day every day, summer, winter, fall, doesn't matter. And it's because of that hard work they've put in, they've gotten to the level they're at. It's not something you can just kind of try now and then, play here and there and become skilled. It takes hard work and dedication and continued hard work. And now 10 years later, he's seeing the fruits of his hard work. It's not like, I don't know if I'm articulating it properly. I just think it's a neat kind of,
it's a great skill, and it's different from,
it teaches discipline, and it teaches, again, and we're not like we take it seriously, but I don't know, it's not something you can just do half-heartedly and then get good at. You actually have to work to get good. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and those skills translate and transfer to some other things in life, which make it, you know, a good skill to have and a little bit more important than just doing something for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a great medium to learn, you know, valuable life skills and skills that will hopefully transfer into everything that you do, like hard work, discipline, perseverance. Those are all things that we can learn through music.
Yeah.
So I was also wondering, does KAOS Music have any exciting plans or new upcoming projects in the near future?
No, you can
No,
take
you
off
can go
if
if you want.
That,
Bye to
that
Nico.
doesn't sound much like a me question. All right. Bye. Great.
Thank you, Calvin.
No problem.
Well, be
Bye.
exciting. For me, I'm excited about having rock bands here in Oakville because Bill's had it at the Toronto store for a long time, and I just think it's a cool program. I think it's a way to take your music lessons and you've learned how to play, and it's like, okay, now let's collaborate with other musicians, which I think is really cool. So that I'm excited about having rock band here.
Yeah, it's a great adult program,
Mhm.
and it's a good teen program, although we do more adults than teens, believe it or not, and maybe teens are busy and don't have time for one more activity, but some middle-aged adult guys and gals who play music and are looking for a way to, you know, do that activity outside of their, you know, living room, really love the program. So we found in Etobicoke it has a very, very loyal following of adults who join, you know, session in, session out. And they have been waiting. I put out an email last week about it in Etobicoke, and like we're almost full now already. You know, it's almost everybody who was in the program before COVID has signed back up, and a bunch of new people, some young people too, encouraging that the young people, because the young people bands are, like the teen bands are really fun as well. But that's a really good program. So hopefully out here in Oakville, I mean, we have modest expectations of it for this year. We hope that we get a few bands going. Because again, it's one of those things, you put it out there and it takes time to grow. So we don't expect it to be full out here this year, but we hopefully we'll get like literally one or two bands going, and then we'll combine them with the Etobicoke shows and do them. And that's the nice thing about having the program running in two places. When you do the show, you can just bring the bands, everybody can come together. They have to travel a bit to the bar that we do it in, the bars in Etobicoke. It's anyway, it's a lot of fun for that. And you know, I think we're just going to look forward this year to getting the programs back up and running, and the teachers, you know, without, you know, getting all doomy and gloomy, the teachers really suffered hard in this pandemic. They, you know, this is how they made their living, and usually they made their living teaching and performing, two things that were like completely wiped out in the pandemic. So it wasn't like one got wiped out and they got to, you know, double up on the other. Everything they did got shut down. So they, and you would certainly understand that. So we're really hoping that we can just get their lives back in order this year, and like get their teaching schedules as full as possible. They can get some performing going again this year, and kind of just get their lives back on track from their career point of view, and, you know, really enjoy the community that comes through the place every week. That's where most of the small little enjoyment comes from, is seeing the people each week and seeing the kids, and then the recitals and the shows. We don't have anything dramatic other than the rock band program here.
The kids and I are throwing around, we're trying to come up with a way of a rock band type of a program, but for wind players, because I'm a trombone player, my daughter plays trumpet. We're like, okay, how do we create something with like small ensembles, like, you know, quartets or quintets, or whether it's violin or wind instruments. And anyways, we're trying to throw that around, talking to one of our teachers about some possibilities. But anyways, that's not, if it happens, it won't be for a little bit until we figure it out. It's hard to find people at the right skill level to be able to, that are on the same schedule, that can, it's a lot of things have to line up to get an ensemble like that together. But anyways, but I'm excited about playing with the idea.
Yeah, Bandology would certainly.
Yeah, we're thinking, talk to Lisa about that.
You would know the challenges of bringing people together on a schedule at the same time each week and that type of thing. And finding band brass players or woodwind players, and finding them is one thing, and then putting them together in a room once a week at a specific time. That's, that's like the eighth miracle of the world, trying to get schedules to line up, and yeah, but sometimes we can make it happen, and it starts with wanting to make it happen. So we're going to try to do some of that this year too.
That sounds really amazing. And I'm sure after COVID, lots of people are looking for opportunities to play together again and to be together. So I'm sure that's something that
What do you play, Naoko? What instrument do you play?
I actually play the piano. So
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. So to wrap up our interview, I'm going to ask you guys some fast 5 questions. So these are basically like rapid fire style questions. All right.
All right. Okay. I should have looked at those more closely. Okay.
The first one is your favorite movie soundtrack.
Guardians of the Galaxy. I switched.
Oh yeah, I like that one too. I like A League of Their Own too.
Wow. Yeah, those are both really great. So the second one is instrument that you wish you played.
Guitar.
Me too. I started taking lessons, then my friend borrowed my guitar, and then when I get my guitar back, I'm going to take lessons again.
Yeah, I would really like to learn guitar too. That would be a really cool instrument to learn.
Yeah.
So the third one is your favorite concert that you attended.
Harry Connick.
Where?
Band Shell in Toronto. Long time ago.
Earth, Wind and Fire. Oh, okay, got 2. Earth, Wind and Fire at Canada's Wonderland, and Donnie and Marie Osmond at the Ontario Place. What was it called at Ontario Place?
The
Ontario Place stage. I don't remember what it's called.
I'm changing my answer. It's Chick Corea in Los Angeles, in a private room.
What?
Yeah, well, a private room with like 1,000 people in it, but a private room at the NAMM show, which is a big show I go to every year. And Chick Corea, who you may know, is an amazing jazz pianist with his electric band. Like this is like 30 years ago. It was the first time I went to that show in Los Angeles, so I was just wide-eyed and everything. And someone said, "Hey, let's go see Chick Corea." And I don't even think I knew who he was. And I said, "Okay." And we walked into this like giant ballroom, and it was standing room. And I was like, "Wow, this is amazing. Who is this guy?" And then Chick Corea came out and played this amazing concert, like an hour-long concert with his electric band, and then took questions. And it was amazing. And 1,000 people sounds like a lot, but that's a small room really to see somebody in. So it was amazing.
Cool.
Wow, that is so amazing.
How about you, Naoko? So cool. What was your favorite concert?
That's a hard question. I haven't been to a concert in a very long time. I'd have to think about that for a bit.
Nobody has.
But I generally like any concert that I watch with the Toronto Symphony. They're always amazing to watch. So probably one of the concerts that I've been to there is probably what I would say.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
but I'm definitely looking forward to having concerts again soon.
Definitely. We went, and a plug for Stratford Festival. We went to the Stratford Festival. We went to see Why We Tell the Story. So it was a cabaret. So I guess technically it's a concert. It was so incredibly. We went back twice. We went and saw the same show twice. But so Stratford is open. So if anyone can get out there, it was
go see a show. It's amazing.
We were pretty emotional. It was amazing.
They're outdoor, and they're small, and they're out, which is great because they're not big, and so you're right up tight with the performers.
And every singer was amazing, and the band was amazing, and
it was just amazing to see live music again. More amazing than we even thought. Yeah, we were like really taken by it.
Yeah. All right. So the next question is your favorite artist.
And
favorite artist.
Yeah, this was a tough one.
I know. We like everything. Oh, I like everything from Manteca to Anne Murray to Dolly Parton to I don't have a favorite band. I don't think.
No, you know what? I said Lin-Manuel.
Oh, you did say that.
I think it would be somebody in the theater. As opposed to pop rock, although I like a lot of pop rock and classic rock and all sorts of rock. I find the theater guys are just so skilled and so good, and there's so many of them. But Lin-Manuel is the guy from Hamilton, if you don't know that. And I mean, he's writing that show, the music of that show, I think is so fantastic. And then his performance of it is, equally as fantastic. And he's written all sorts of different stuff, but I think he's a bit of a genius.
Yeah.
You know,
And yeah.
Moana, he run. I mean,
Oh yeah.
he's done all sorts of soundtracks and like big stuff. And you think like the scope of his ability from like Hamilton, which is just, you know, may as well be, you know, it's theater rap, to, you know, to Moana, which is like island kind of, you know, Caribbean island music. Anyway, just, I think the guy's got real talent.
And I also like people like Kenny Rogers and John Denver and Simon and Garfunkel. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. There's so many. We're failing. I think we're doing terribly at the fast
one. No, we're answering them as slowly as possible.
She's like, it's supposed to be fast, people.
I know, rapid fire is not supposed to be half an hour.
We're failing this.
That's okay. It's the interesting, the juicy parts are always the reason why you chose the answer. So that's really great.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one is, what is your favorite, what is your hidden talent?
I said I'm a fast decision maker. I can make a decision like that. Not always the right one, but I can make them, and I am resolute on them. It's like a superpower.
And I'm the slowest decision maker, so that's my opposite. I don't think I have any. Do I have any hidden superpowers? I don't think I do.
Oh, you have some hidden. Yeah, you are super. So you can create a connection with somebody like that, like anybody.
Oh, that's my hidden superpower.
It's not really hidden, but you're pretty well known for that.
I was gonna say I'm a mom, but that's
no,
really
well, that's a bit of a superpower. But you're very good at people things.
Oh, there you go.
They come very naturally and comfortably to you, way more so than.
Thank you. That's funny. There you go. There you go.
Those are definitely some very useful skills to have. I mean, both decision making and like being able to connect with people. Those are so important.
Combined, we're a combined superhero.
Yeah. Retired.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you so much for talking to us today. It was so great to hear all about your music school and all about the endeavors that you guys have had. It was really amazing.
Oh, well, thanks for having us. And we think the work Bandology is doing is amazing. And we think it's the energy and you've got some great people on the team there, and you guys are doing awesome things. And we appreciate you for keeping music alive too.
Yeah, you're just part of
the team. We're all part of the team.
The world team of people trying to make music and help people make music and make music more part of a central part of people's lives. It's great. So thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in, and we hope to see you soon. Bye.
Thanks for joining us. If you like what you heard, you can learn more about our organization at bandology.ca, which features information about music education, advocacy and research, and our Play a Gig and Bandcamp programs. Follow us on social media for more videos, performance, and interviews on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.